Hey, what's up guys, Pachirisus, and we are back here today for the week 1 game in the BBL. We're facing off against Sparks, and he's got a pretty interesting team. He's paired Mega Blaziken with the flinch core of Shaymin-Sky, Togekiss and Jirachi, so certainly some offensive threats there. And then he's coupled those mons with really sort of fat defensive mons, potentially momentum draining mons in Avalugg, Alamomola, Cofagrigus. He's got mons like Skuntank and Rhydon. As far as like offensive potential on his team, he does have Z Flygon and Honchkrow, which he didn't choose to bring to the game, but he's got a pretty interesting team. Certainly has some threats on it that can get a bit out of control if you don't prep accordingly. And the team he's brought today looks pretty bulky. He's brought both the Avalugg and the Alamomola, which are more than likely going to be physically defensive checks to stuff like Landorus and Weavile on my team, as well as Ho-Oh. I see Jirachi being more than likely one of his Magearna checks, because you can never have too many checks for this monster, and Jirachi takes it on pretty nicely depending on the set. So yeah, we're going to run over the team that I've brought. We have a Stealth Rocks Ferrothorn, especially defensive, which can check a lot of his team really. Like, I can just kind of leech up on his passive stuff like Jirachi, Avalugg, Alamomola. I'm running in Anticipation, which will allow me to scout for fire coverage on his Jirachi and on his Shaymin-Sky on the switch, which could be really useful, and will help determine whether he's packing certain other hidden powers that would hit the teammates of Ferrothorn. Then we have a defensive Slowbro, really great check to Blaziken. Mega Bro takes like knockoffs and thunder punches from Mega Blaziken to bounce off Mega Bro, so really useful here. Obviously I do have to be careful about allowing Shaymin-Sky to come in freely, but I do have Psychic to catch that thing, as well as Scald and Ice Beam, so yep. Then we have a Scarf Weavile, which does allow me to revenge stuff like a Scarf Jirachi if he does for some reason bring that, or something like Scarf Togekiss, which is pretty irritating for a team if it's weakened down. Ice Shard obviously blows away his Shaymin-Sky, so yeah, Weavile is a really nice threat here. It can also pursue traps, stuff like Pachirisus and Jirachi, which are more than likely his 2 checks to my Magearna, if need be. And then we have the star of the show, Magearna. I am Shift Gear, 3 attacks. I do have the Z Fluid Cannon on this set, as well as Shadow Ball to hit his Jirachi. This gear can honestly just win if I position it correctly, but it will come down to how he plays his defensive backbone and how I choose to play my Magearna. If I can position it in such a way that his team is weakened, it's all sort of in range. I've determined what his Scarfers are, and his Jirachi is chipped or in range of 2 Shadow Balls, for example. Magearna's looking in a pretty good spot to win this game. Then we have a 3 attack to Roost Ho-Oh. I am actually mixed on this set, so I'm Brave Bird, Sacred Fire with Giga Drain, which allows me to spank the Aloe and the Rhydon for some pretty solid damage. Comfortable to a kill on Rhydon, and depending on the spread on Aloe, he will be taking a ton of damage from that. I could really catch an Aloe if he gets low, if he doesn't expect me to have that coverage. And then lastly, we have a defensive Landorus, which does act as a backup check to stuff like Blaziken, Flygon, Honchkrow. Very solid one in this matchup, and does allow me to defog for Ho if I need to. So that is going to be the breakdown of the team. We're going to jump right into the match and see how it went. We did originally start playing on Wi-Fi, but my opponent disconnected, and I did not have time to recreate this game on Wi-Fi. So we moved to Showdown, and we're going to see how it goes. So I'm going to lead off with my Ho-Oh here, as he does lead off with his Shaymin-Sky, and this is obviously not a favourable matchup for him, so he switches out into his Aloe. He catches a Sacred Fire burn, which is nice for him because he doesn't risk now getting toxic by my Lando. But at the same time, negating lefties with that burn chip is still pretty useful for me. So Ho-Oh's going to get the burn. I'm going to switch out here, obviously scouting for the toxic, as he does just go for the light screen, which is interesting. I guess light screen is one of his ways of preventing Magearna from immediately busting through his team, so I can respect that. But I'm going to go into my Ferro here, and I'm going to click Thunder Wave, expecting him to go hard Blaziken, which really capitalizes on my Ferro. He either went Blaziken or he went Jirachi. He could have potentially gone Shaymin-Sky. Either way, going into something passive versus Ferro was never the play, and T-Wave capitalized on any kind of offensive switch he could make there, as now Blaziken is effectively neutered. Though it was sort of already neutered by the existence of Mega Bro on my team, so he's going to get paralyzed here, but in the actual game he clicked knockoff, so I am going to click slack off this turn, and he's going to switch back out into no, in the actual game he clicked knock off, but it did less than regen healed, so we just sort of played on despite the para because it wouldn't have changed anything in the recreation. So he's going to go into his Pachirisu as I go into my Ferrothorn here, and he hits Super Fang, so he kind of fucked up in this recreation, so he's going to have to go back into his Pachirisu and click Super Fang again to get the damage off of my Ferro, so we can recreate this as accurately as possible. And now he's got my Ferro down to a pretty low amount of health with the Super Fang, but I can kind of leech up on anything on his team. And he's going to U-turn out into his Blaziken as I do just get off the Leech Seed, which is going to be really nice, getting that thing chipped down and getting my recovery up with my Ferro. As now I make the switch out into Slowbros, he makes a nice double into his Shaymin-Sky. But the nice thing is, like, the way I've constructed this team, I'm never really threatened by this mon. I've always got outs versus it. So he's going to go for Air Slash. He's not Life Orb, as now he is going to switch out to Alamamola, as I do just click Brave Bird this turn. Obviously not wanting to miss versus the Shaymin-Sky. As now I reveal Giga Drain, which does a nice chunk to Aloe. That does 46% as he goes for Scald, which is an interesting play, I guess, trying to burn my Aloe, my incoming Ferro, sorry. As this turn I do catch him here with a Sacred Fire, expecting him to switch out into either Jirachi, Shaymin-Sky, I guess potentially Avalugg. But he does make the Avalugg play, which is really interesting, and he gets burnt by Ho-Oh's Sacred Fire. As he actually is eject button, and he's going to get sent out into his Shaymin-Sky. As right here, he is going to make the switch out into Aloe on my Brave Bird. Air Slash is doing very little to Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh already putting in the work, is showing how incredibly bulky it is, as that's coming off a base like 125 special attack, that Air Slash, and it's just bouncing off. So this turn I am going to, I think I stay in here and click Giga Drain as he goes into his Jirachi. Yep. Obviously playing at this point very conservatively with Ho. I'm not like making crazy predictions at this point because his Aloe is chipped and any damage off on this Jirachi is good. It's good information, and I'd rather get the kill there versus Aloe than him potentially toxicking my Ho-Oh. So right here I'm going to make the switch. I believe I switch into my Lando here as he goes back into his Alamamola on what would have been the Sacred Fire. And now I think I'm going to go out into my Ferro as he does just wish up. So Aloe's back to a nice amount of health, but I do have the burn on Avalugg, which is going to be really, really nice for me. So he's going to go back out into his Avalugg here and receive the wish, be back up at full. And I think he rapid spins this turn, and because I'm not Iron Barbs, he won't be taking that residual from the Iron Barbs chip. But the damage from the Leech Seed and the burn is obviously still racking up, and I can kind of rock on this thing all day. Like, yeah, he can spin, but he's eventually going to run out of recovers between Leech, burn, and my Gyro Ball damage. So I'm now going to go into Ho as he does set up a light screen here. And this turn I think I just stay in Sacred Fire, expecting him to switch out versus my Ho, because he's not shown any way to touch it. His way of touching me is Scald, sorry, and I always have Roost for that. But he actually reveals Toxic, so really interesting that he chose to preserve Toxic for so long in the game. But either way, Ho is Toxic here, though it doesn't really matter because I have Roost and Regen, and his Skulls are doing 18% to me, so, and I have Giga Drain on this, so I'm not really in a position where Ho is that crippled by him having Toxic, so it's not too bad of a trade for me, but it does give me more information. It tells me that he doesn't have Protect on his set, which is kind of questionable, but he doesn't have Protect, meaning that he has no way of scouting for my Z move on Magearna, and he has no way of stopping, like, after a wish. He can never safely receive it if he's low, so that is definitely good for me to know. So I'm just going to go for Giga Drain here, get a bit of chip, as he does go for the wish. And now this turn I'm going to switch out to Ferro, as he is going to go for the Scald here with his Aloe. I just guess wanting to chip me down, but now that I've got Ferro in, I can fire for Leech Seed, as he does just wish up again. And this is going to be a bit of a battle of attrition, because the key I have to do here, I have to wear down his Avalugg. I have to keep rocks up and get in Magearna on a turn that he goes Avalugg ideally. But first I want to condition him into making the Aloe into Avalugg switches, because that will allow me to safely bring in Magearna, as opposed to him going for Scald on a turn I want to switch into Magearna and getting burnt. It's just safer this way. So he's going to go into Avalugg as I go into Ho-Oh, and right here I just click Sacred Fire, as I think he does spin. He spins, Avalugg tanking that hit, which is really impressive. Avalugg has ridiculous defenses, and Gonna go out into Pharaoh this turn as he goes back into Aloe. And I think right here I click Stealth Rocks on this turn. Get my rocks back up as he does just go for the Wish. And he's gonna now go back out into his Avalugg as I make the switch into my Magearna. And this is what I was talking about. This is really nice because now his Avalugg can't safely spin. He's punished. And if he switches out here, he has to take rocks the next time he comes in. So this turn I am going to go for the Shadow Ball as it caught an Avalugg that wanted to stay in. It also caught Jirachi switching in, which is really important. I can't sweep just yet with Magearna. I need to get the sufficient damage off on his team, so I'm going to start weakening it down. So I'm going to go for Shadow Ball. And this Pachirisus takes 17, and that's from a max attack Magearna, so max special attack Magearna. So that thing is clearly Assault Vest, and that's a very interesting set here. So he's going to go for the Super Fang, and so I'm going to make sort of like a bit of a pivot play. I'm going to go Bro here on the Super Fang, and then into my Pharaoh on the electric attack, which means, yeah, Bro gets most of his health back with regen, and Pharaoh obviously doesn't have to take a Super Fang in the process, so Pharaoh is going to take a Nuzzle, and yeah, Nuzzled Pharaoh isn't too bad. It actually powers up my Gyro Ball a bit, so that's not the end of the world for me. As here I do just click the Leech Seed, I believe, as he does go back out into his Avalugg. And right here, I think I just click Gyro Ball here, wanting to weaken down this Avalugg, as he is just going to recover up. And right here, I think I Gyro again. Yeah, I Gyro again and get some nice damage off on Rachi. And as you can see, he's not lefties, so that's really important. He's not leftovers. He could potentially be a resist berry for my Jirachi, for my Magearna. He could be something like some sort of offensive lure item. But he does go for Stealth Rocks here, and that's fine. I do have my Defog Lando in the back, but I get the T-Wave off on Rachi, which is going to make beating him with Magearna a lot nicer. And if he was for some reason a Scarf Jirachi, he's now muted. So this turn I am going to switch out to my Landorus. I want to Defog immediately because Ho is pretty important to have nice and healthy versus his team. So he's going to Wish up and switch out into his Avalugg here as I do just Defog, getting rid of those rocks. Kind of doing Avalugg's job for it, as this thing is going to be still at a pretty low amount of health at 79. He's not at a kind of range of health where he can comfortably switch in on rocks and take like 2 Earthquakes from Lano, for example, with a burn. So that's pretty nice for me. Here I am going to click the Fluid Cannon as I don't expect him to go Rachi. Rachi's paralyzed and at like 69%, so he's not exactly in a healthy position. I think he's going to go Pachirisu, certainly before he goes Rachi. So I'm going to fire up the Fluid Cannon here and do a nice 38% to this Pachirisu, and this damage is really important. This means that he's now at a range of health where if I get a Shift Gear up with Mage, I can kind of just win at this point. So I've almost achieved what I need to in terms of chipping down his team, as he is just going to go for the U-turn with his Pachirisu, and he's going to bring back in his Aloe here. And this turn I believe I do just click I think I clicked Sacred Fire here. Yeah, I clicked Sacred Fire in case he wanted to switch into his Pachirisu and receive the Wish. It was the only guaranteed method of killing that thing, as now he's going to go for the light screen. So I'm going to go back out into my Pharaoh. He's going to Wish up, and here I Gyro Ball expecting it to kill the Pachirisu, but he actually lives on 2%, so that's definitely unfortunate, as this thing is back up to a nice amount of health now. And I missed my Leech, which obviously would have been nice to chip this thing down a little further, as he's just going to stay in here in Super Fang, and we get the Leech off. So now again he's in range, he's getting chipped further and further down in range, and if I get rocks up, he's actually in range of Z Twinkle Tackle, so that's pretty useful as Avalugg comes in on my Pharaoh. And because this thing is burnt, it can't actually touch Pharaoh, so it's kind of a free Leech, and I can just set my rocks back up. I can eventually go Magearna on this thing, and I'm going to get paralyzed this turn as he does go into his Aloe. I set rocks that turn, so that was pretty unfortunate. I could have gone out into my Magearna on his Wish there, but we get up rocks as he is going to go for the Wish. And right here I go for Gyro Ball, wanting to get the kill on Avalugg, but again he lives pretty comfortably. He lives on 6%, so I don't think that was a roll, that one there, as he's going to get the Wish back. And I think here I Leech Seed here, but I get paralyzed unfortunately. And but Pharaoh's back up to a nice amount of health, so after those 2 Super Fangs I'm still looking pretty good. And he's going to get the spin off here and click just kind of spam Rapid Spin versus me, as I do just Leech up. And this Avalugg can't really win this exchange because I'm always going to be getting my Leeches up. He's going to run out of recovers eventually, and I do get my rocks up here. As right here I am going to go into Slowbro on his Blaziken as he gets paralyzed. So a bit of justice there for all the paras on Pharaoh. As now I do just fire up a Psychic on this Pachirisu, and he switches this in, which is interesting. I think he should have honestly gone into either his Shaymin-Sky or his Jirachi there, because he kind of needs health on this thing. He needs it to be able to switch in on an attack and receive a wish, and now that it's at 41%, it's going to be a lot harder for him to do that. So he's going to switch now out into Alamamola, as I do just fire for Scald. And because this thing is like max physically defensive, I know that it's not going to be able to take hits very well for my Slowbro, but I'm going to choose this opportunity to go into Magearna here. And right now I am going to click, going to switch out into Weavile here. Now the reason I switch into Weavile hard on this Aloe is I know he's not going to stay in with Aloe. He's not sacking this thing because it doesn't have Protect. He's either going into Pachirisu or his Jirachi. Going into Pachirisu means that if I click Shadow Ball that turn, he would have lived it and received the wish. If I clicked my Fairy coverage, my Fluid Cannon on his Jirachi, Jirachi obviously would have survived that and received the wish, and I would have been back into a sort of stalemate. It wouldn't have been a stalemate, but it would have really prolonged the Magearna sweep. I wanted to grab offensive momentum here, so I choose to go Weavile, which either traps Pachirisu or gets the knockoff off, or traps Jirachi. So he's going to now switch out into his Jirachi here. And he's going to make the play of staying in, which I think is like a good play, considering if I was Pursuit, he got nothing out of the play. He switched out and took like 80%. And his Jirachi would be in range of anything from gear. But at least in this situation, he lives the knockoff because I'm not Life Orb and gets damage off of me with the Iron Head. He doesn't kill me because of my investment, and now I will be able to remove the Rachi from the game. So that's really nice. I no longer have to worry about that thing. His only check to my gear is his Pachirisu, which is in range of a hit, which is in range of a Fluid Cannon or a Zimu. So yeah, Weavile looking really solid. Right here I'm going to go into my Ho-Oh, as he does just go for the quick attack, which is an interesting bring. I guess he was quick attack. I don't know. I don't really know how he found coverage for that on his set, how he found a slot for it, because like you kind of want Air Slash, you want Hidden Power Fire or Hidden Power Rock. You want like Sub, maybe Leech. I don't know, it was interesting. And then like obviously Seed Flare. So I'm not quite sure how he found room for quick attack, but props, that's a flex move right there. So we take him out with a Brave Bird, Ho-Oh breaking through the God, and he's going to go back out into Alu here. This turn I do just go for Giga Drain, getting back a nice chunk of health, as he is just going to go for the Scald, as opposed to wishing up. And I think right here I just go harder into my Magearna, I believe, as he goes Pachirisu. No, I don't go into my Magearna, I go for the Giga Drain again with my Ho-Oh, as it would have killed Aloe from that range of health. And this thing takes even more chips, so it's now definitely in range of anything. It's actually in range of Shadow Ball after rocks from my Magearna, so he's going to go back out into his Aloe on my Earthquake from my Lando, as this thing is kind of forced to wish here. So this is a guaranteed gear, as he is going to go for the wish, and I'm just going to click Shadow Ball here. It covers really anything he can do. It knocks out Aloe and it covers him going Pachirisu, and that thing is going to finally drop to gear. So gear getting the one up over that little electric squirrel, which was a pretty fire bring, to be honest. And right here I'm going to click the Z Fluid Cannon, take out his Blaze, and wrap this game up with Magearna. So yeah, really solid game versus Sparks. I thought he played really well to prolong the gear sweep. I mean, I think it was inevitable, just the way I structured the team and the way I played around his Jirachi and his Pachirisu, but I do think he played it well. I think, like, although it was a 6-0, I think he really brought a solid team and he played it well. He definitely got the most out of his Pachirisu. That thing put in the work. It was obviously a Soul Fest, so it was taking hits really well. And with double wish support, it was a threat. So yeah, that's going to be week 1 in the BBL. Definitely a fun way to start the season. Good to see Gear putting in the work, and Ho obviously carrying the team on his back pretty early. Like Ho and Gear, they pretty much did everything this game. Pharaoh obviously 1v1 to like Avalog with Leech and Rocks, and causes him a lot of problems. But yeah, definitely a fun one to open out the season. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys thought of the match in the comments, and yeah, drop a like if you enjoyed. I'll catch you guys next.